everybody. Welcome back to this post-match analysis of the first T20I between India and Sri Lanka. India has managed to win this one by 62 runs. But what do our cricket guests think of this particular match, and what do you all think as well? मुझे comment section में बताइए. And without wasting any more time, let me bring on my first guest, Pratyay Tiwari, joining me back in the studio. Pratyay, of course, you did predict that India was going to win this one. They looked very confident, but it didn't seem like Sri Lanka was going to let go of it very easily, especially in the last couple of overs. If you did see that fight that they did manage to put up, if you had to summarize the first T20I in 2 words, what would that be?
But I would say too late and too little. I think what they did in the last couple of overs, I think if they had to do that right from the start, because when you're chasing something like a 10 runs per over, 200 runs, you cannot afford to have a power play like that they had. Couple of wickets lost and just 30 odd runs in that power play. So I think right then in the power play is where they actually lost the match. And I think a clinical effort. I mean, when you talk about 60, 62 runs of a victory, that is a big enough margin in even an ODI. And here you're talking about a T20I. So I think it was a phenomenal, I think, achievement for India, starting on the correct note and then using 7 bowlers. I think when you actually look at how India managed their bowlers, I think then it becomes even greater, because they were not even using their first choice bowlers at places and trying to test, because they had that license today after the kind of total they managed to put. And of course, we all were thinking that India will come out trumps in this game, but particularly happy, and also happy because I predicted that Ishan Kishan, the way he batted today, I mean, exactly the way we would want to see him bat, because after the West Indies series, that was not the best of way you want him to see him bat, but the way he batted today, absolutely bonkers. So I think a lot of credit to him, of course, and hopefully he will be the player of the match as well as I predicted. Let's see.
Okay, so of course Pratyay is on a roll with all his predictions and reminding me that he's got it right, but I have taken note of it. But obviously, like you just pointed out, I think everyone's going to be super happy that he has stepped up in this particular performance, despite all that conversation about how much he's really gone for in IPL 2022. But at the same time, let's take a quick look at the scorecard and also get our second guest, Chirag, joining us in the studios. Here we, of course, have the summary of what has happened. India having won by 62 runs and then putting up a fight of 137 for 6. And Aslanka, of course, creating magic like he did. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar 2 for 9. Let's get Chirag's opinion if we have Chirag here. Chirag, welcome back on the show. आपको क्या लगा about this particular match सबसे पहले?
जब मैं पहले देख रहा था तो ईशान किशन ने स्टार्ट अच्छा किया और प्रत्या की बात याद आई। प्रत्या ने बिल्कुल ऑन पॉइंट प्रेडिक्शन किया था कि ईशान किशन के ऊपर प्रेशर है, बिल्कुल वो अंडर प्रेशर थे क्योंकि वर्सेस वेस्ट इंडीज काफी स्ट्रगल कर रहे थे, लेकिन आज पहली मैच में उन्होंने खुद को प्रूव किया एंड प्रत्या का बिल्कुल ऑन पॉइंट प्रेडिक्शन वो एकदम देख कर याद है कि हाँ प्रत्या का मेरा रविंद्र जडेजा नहीं, गौरी ने कौन सा प्रेडिक्ट किया था? रोहित शर्मा।
रोहित शर्मा एंड संजू सैमसन, जिसको मौका ही नहीं मिला
अनफॉर्चुनेटली। लेकिन both of Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, both of them performed really well and they paved the way for the batters to come. फिर श्रेयस अय्यर जब भी इन्हें मौका मिलता है ये मौके पे चौका लगाते हैं, बहुत मतलब एक दिखता है कि एकदम क्लासी प्लेयर है और बहुत अच्छे से इनिंग्स संभालते हैं। तो अभी वर्ल्ड कप को लेकर तैयारी इंडिया की बहुत जबरदस्त है क्योंकि अब देखो की बैटर्स नहीं थे, लेकिन फिर भी मतलब इंडिया का परफॉर्मेंस ये नहीं दिखा कि कहीं पर लैग कर रहे हैं। वही कॉन्फिडेंस, वही जुनून, वही सब कुछ था, वही कहानी फिर एक बार जीत आई फिर से शर्मा के पास, तो कमाल मतलब इंडिया।
Okay, so this is of course a summary of the top performer, the talk of today's match having been Ishan Kishan. Like both Pratyay and Chirag have given full marks. Like there are 2 Iyers, one Iyer that Chirag just spoke about, Shreyas Iyer, always capitalizing on every opportunity that he gets, rightly so. We also saw that during his test debut. We're talking about this performance today: 57 not out of 28 balls, 5 fours and 2 sixes. I'll come to you quickly, Pratyay, to summarize both Shreyas Iyer and if you could take a look at Venkatesh Iyer's performance as well and get your opinion, Pratyay.
Well, I think, see, Shreyas, if you talk about, I think he was scoring runner ball around, I mean, till the 15th ball or so, and then suddenly, you see that he just accelerates so well and goes on to score a 50 of just 25. So, he has shown that caliber too many times now, that he is someone who knows how to accelerate things. And I think very pleasing, of course, because after India lost Kishan, I think, yes, he was looking well set for a century also. But then after he was out, it was very important to, make sure that the tempo that was set by that 110 run partnership at the start, that was not lost. And I think the innings that Shreyas Iyer played, that exactly ensured for India that that tempo that was set was not lost, and that is why actually, I mean, even if you take out those runs from Shreyas Iyer, I think India would still not have been looking at 200. So I think definitely a brilliant knock from him, and not letting any sort of pressure, completely capitalizing on the start. For Venkatesh, I think yes, definitely not too much with the bat for
Right.
him today, but with the
So
ball,
I think
little
we have.
disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there is some sort of a issue. We could just check, Pratyay's, audio and video once. Request my producer to do that. There's a little bit of a lag. I'll come back to you, Pratyay, on your thoughts. But all of you, tell me, aapko kya laga about today's match? What are you expecting for the second T20I as well? And coming back to you, Chirag, in terms of performances on the Sri Lanka side, did you think at one point, like Pratyay did start off by saying that a little too late?
हाँ, वो काफ़ी देर हो गया था एंड पर, लेकिन हाँ, उन्होंने दिखाया, लेकिन पर उस टाइम पर काफ़ी देर हो चुकी थी। पर युजवेंद्र चहल आज इंडिया के लिए हाईएस्ट विकेट टेकर बने इन टी20आई, जसप्रीत बुमराह को पीछे छोड़ा, तो उनके लिए एक अचीवमेंट आज युजवेंद्र चहल के लिए। एंड मैच देखने में काफ़ी, और एक आज रविंद्र जडेजा का वैसा वो पुष्पा राज वाला सेलिब्रेशन विकेट लेने के बाद, वो
आज वेटिंग कि हमारे फिल्मी चिराग ने अब तक वो कैसा पॉइंट नहीं उठाया अभी तक।
राइट, वो मैं थोड़ा अभी मैं फ्लो में आ रहा था, मतलब थोड़ा अभी स्टार्ट हो जाए तो बात को मतलब लाने में फायदा था ना। पर वो काफी एपिक था, वो
करेक्ट।
पुष्पराज में झुकेगा नहीं, वो देखने में मजा आया। और रविंद्र जडेजा लगा नहीं कितने टाइम बाद कमबैक कर रहे हैं, एकदम कंफर्टेबल दिखे। फिटनेस में आई थिंक फील्डिंग में अपना वही 120% दे रहे थे, और बिल्कुल जैसा मतलब रविंद्र जडेजा से हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, हर जगह मतलब 100% अपना दिया उन्होंने।
Okay, so this is of course discussing the top performers as well as that little moment that we always expect Jadeja to do something differently. वो तो है ही, but we'll also go and talk about social tracker पे क्या हो रहा है, what are people talking about, what are the discussions like, and of course also get Pratyay's opinion and everybody else's as well. If you could take a look at the social tracker, but before coming to that, Pratyay, what did you think of the Ravindra Jadeja moment? If you could tell us.
I think see he has
अच्छा
come back
रिलेट
after
कर
a long
सकते हैं
time,
क्योंकि उनका
and
बियर्ड भी बहुत बड़ा है।
yeah, I mean he was a comeback man, and yes, of course, the kind of value he adds into the side, it's phenomenal. I mean, you know that what he can do with the bat, with the ball in the field as well. And as far as this Pushpa thing is concerned, I think he has
Yeah.
already taken the Instagram on fire with that. It's a very ongoing trend. So yes, bringing onto the field as well. But I think today he did not have a lot to do because of the way first Ishan Kishan and
Yeah.
Shreyas Iyer batted, and then the bowlers capped it off. But I think we were discussing Venkatesh Iyer back at that time. I think the way he bowled, I mean, today he would be a little disappointed by that one over that actually spoiled a lot for him because he went for 20-21 in that. But apart from that, I think
Right.
kudos a lot to Rohit Sharma's captaincy because the way he marshaled the troops, the way he actually, used his bowlers. I mean, even at the
Yeah.
start of the match, we were discussing that how India has too many bowling options today. And what he ensured was that he gave a chance to everyone. I mean, all
Everybody.
seven
Yeah.
people who were in the 11 who had the caliber to bowl, every single one of them was given an over, and Harshal Patel did not even finish his quota of overs. So I think this is what a good captain would do because he knows that the match is in your pocket by the seventh over or eighth over. You knew that Sri Lanka has their task cut out because they were not anywhere close to getting that kind of a start that they needed, and then they had lagged so far behind because when you are chasing 10 runs and over, 7 8 runs,
Yeah.
if you 7 8 overs, if you score at something like a 6 or 7, you're chasing for what, around 12 or 13 every over, and then even if you are getting a couple of boundaries every over, still that run rate keeps on mounting all the time. So I think
Right.
once we got to know that, what he did was phenomenal because he allowed everyone to bowl. So I think Captain Rohit Sharma, he has continuously impressed New Zealand, West Indies, and now Sri Lanka. And I think that
And it will
run he would
continue.
want,
Hoping. Yeah.
absolutely he would want that to happen.
Okay, so all of you tell me about that because इसके बारे में इतना जो conversation हो चुका है captaincy के बारे में, who is ideal, who is not, who is the best, who is not the best, all that conversation keeps happening. But with the kind of run that Rohit Sharma has had so far, I'm also asking you this because Rahul Dravid did make that statement as well, which both Chirag and Pratyay will also be aware of the fact that Rohit and Dravid are speaking about the ideal combination going into the high-profile T20 World Cup 2022. They know what kind of players, but also very important thing, Dravid did say that they're looking to give everybody an opportunity, and that's exactly what Pratyay spoke about right now. So it'll be very interesting to see how that campaign turns out for Team India, especially if they all come together like this. And usi pe, let's take a look, like I said, about what's happening on social tracker, and who better than Chirag to take us through to find out ki kya ho raha hai wahan pe. Chirag, if you could take us through what's happening on social tracker.
Sure. वसीम जाफर के बिना सोशल ट्रैकर बिल्कुल अधूरा है, जैसे गुलाब जामुन में मीठा ना हो. श्रीलंका, नो केएल, विराट, पंत एंड सूर्य कुमार यादव. इंडिया इंडिया टोटल वोंट बी दैट हाई. मीनवाइल इंडिया टोटल, सही बात है, बिल्कुल. मतलब श्रीलंका ने एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया हुआ कि इतना अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस आएगा इंडिया की तरफ से. हैट्स ऑफ. ये आ
Of
गया
course.
पुष्पा राज. Ravindra Jadeja celebrated his wicket in trending Pushpa Raj style. Who did it better, Allu Arjun or I am Jadeja? बताओ फिर आप कौन. मुझे लगा, देखो अभी हम तो क्रिकेट फैंस हैं, तो मुझे लगा जडेजा थोड़ा बहुत बेटर था, लेकिन पुष्पा राज वो तो है ही यूनिक, नो.
मैं दूसरा सवाल पूछूंगी, who did it better, David Warner या रविंद्र जडेजा? All of you tell me in the comment section. How can we not forget?
Right, ये ठीक.
Right. Okay,
Ravindra
so of course
Jadeja.
this is Ravindra Jadeja. Okay, so Chirag's going with Jadeja. On the other hand, Pratyay is a very happy man in the studios because he reminded me right at the beginning that he's got all his predictions right. So let's, before we wrap up, let's find out from Pratyay. Sabse pehle, what kind of a loophole will Sri Lanka have to be kind of, covering up for the next, for the second T20I? They're also going to be playing in a different venue, so that factor will also come in. So, आपका क्या कहना है उसके बारे में?
I think now they moved to Dharamshala, and in Lucknow we were already talking about a bit of dew. I did not think that बहुत ज़्यादा dew का आज वहाँ पे कुछ फर्क पड़ा, क्योंकि पहले तो उनकी बैटिंग उस तरीके की नहीं थी, and then again Indian bowlers doing the trick. But now when they move to Dharamshala, which will be I think a little bit more cold than what you had in Lucknow maybe, वहाँ पे शायद dew का और ज़्यादा वो होगा. और मुझे लगता है कि I think today their batters just did not, step up. And also not to forget that I think that they definitely missed Vanindu Hasaranga, because जिस तरीके का उनका फॉर्म रहा है पिछले कुछ समय में, maybe if they could have gotten 1 wicket or 2 wickets in the power play, or maybe a little early, क्योंकि 100 रन की जो साझेदारी वहाँ पे हुई किशन और रोहित के बीच में, वहां से लेकर के पूरे मैच के दौरान कभी भी श्रीलंका वापसी अपने नहीं कर सका उस तरीके से. So I think they're missing out on key players. There's no Ramesh Pandis. Dhawan Tushara had a niggle as well. He's missing out. There's no Avishka Fernando either, and then Vanindu Hasaranga sitting out. So I think बहुत ज़्यादा important हो जाता है कि जब आपके बड़े खिलाड़ी नहीं हो साइड में, तो जो भी लोग हैं उनको step up करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. और I think again today, it was a little bit unlucky. Even Pathum Nissanka, he was the man in form against Australia, but we all saw that what happened. Golden Duck was God, Bhuvneshwar Kumar struck, and it was a very unfortunate dismissal again. So I think it has. Of course, they have now. If they have to win the series, they have to win both the matches, and that is the tricky part with 3-match series. अगर आप एक मैच हार जाते हैं, आपको दोनों जीतने होते हैं. So I think batters will definitely have to step up. And even to an extent bowling, because if you're allowing the opposition to score 200 runs, you're making the job for your batters a lot difficult. So I think too many things for them to think, and India definitely would be very happy going into the next match, and we might even see some changes, as we saw against West Indies when they had pocketed the series. They gave chances, so we might even see that.
Okay, so that'll be very interesting. 3 takeaways from what Pratyay has said will be exciting to see. Number one, these 2 matches are going to be back to back, so काफी interesting भी होगा. The venue is going to change, so that'll also be super interesting to see what are the changes. We'll have to wait and watch. But most importantly for Sri Lanka, their bowlers will have to get a breakthrough initially, so that extra pressure on the batters is much lesser. But दूसरी तरफ, like he said, India is one happy team having cemented the first win. But can they capitalize this into yet another series win? We will have to wait and find out. And for all of you as well, stay tuned on 26th and 27th, because we're all going to come back on Trick Tracker to be discussing this exciting series. Until we see you next time, of course, stay tuned to Trick Tracker for the latest news in the world of cricket.